if we look a little bit specific for the remainder of the show, maybe, hopefully, about how we take care of things here at InnerFight, we're probably known for having packing quite a lot into the hour. I know when new coaches join us, they're always like, oh my God, there's so much to get through. Sometimes you'll see that our classes, although we try not to, but sometimes the coaches, especially when they start with us, their classes might run 1 or 2 minutes over. That's because we're trying to get so much into it. So how do we break it up? This is not the Holy Grail, but this is the Holy Grail to us. And this is how pretty much we've done things for the last sort of 15 years. So we'll look at the warm-up, which is anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes, depending on what's coming next. And what we're trying to do in the warm-up does depend a little bit on what's coming next. But if we can prepare you for the movement and also start maybe some kind of strength element within the warm-up. So if an example of this would be if I'm preparing for a back squat, I would start with the first round of a warm-up could be, or the whole warm-up could be air squats. So I'm just loading the squat. I'm looking at the movement patterns, as I said earlier, without a load, just with a body weight. Maybe as I progress through the rounds, that could go from an air squat to some load on it, so that when we get to the barbell for the back squat, we're ready to do that. We're trying to elevate, we're trying to pump some blood. Warm-up's a warm-up. We're trying to pump some blood around the body. We're trying to, especially if it's early morning, we're trying to let people feel like they're awake. But at the same time, where we can, we're getting specific to what's coming next. And we may also be developing some mechanical skill within that warm-up. That's why you see things within a warm-up like air squats, lunges, push-ups, top of push-up hold, bottom of push-up hold, wall ball, burpee. These things actually repeat themselves quite a lot because they're such an integral part to our movement. And if we can't, as I was saying a little bit earlier, if we can't master movement with our body weight, we can't create tension within the muscles with our body weight or with something quite light, like maybe a light kettlebell, a light dumbbell, a PVC pipe, then the chances of us being able, sometimes it works against us in less than 5% of scenarios, but a lot of the time we will not be able to do that when we add load. We'll just be compromising our safety. So that's the first, anywhere between 4 to 10 minutes. Sometimes we can go straight into a strength piece and use the first couple of rounds of the strength piece to warm up the strength piece with lighter weights, and then we'd go into the heavier weight. So that's a technique that we'll use sometimes. We then take the next anywhere between 12 to 20 minutes of our class to focus on a strength piece. This strength piece could have one part to it, it could have 2 parts to it, or it could have 3 parts to it. It's based around essentially, let me get this right, 5 different components for the 5 days of the week. The mainline class program runs 5 days a week. We consider posterior chain, things like deadlifts, for example. We consider upper, so pushing and pulling. We consider Olympic lifting, whether it's snatch, clean and jerk, snatch one week, clean and jerk the next week generally. What have I got left? We consider lower, some form of squatting, either bilateral, using both legs in the same motion, or unilateral, focusing on one leg, concentrating on sort of an imbalance there because we don't always move with 2 legs, despite us thinking that we do. And the final thing, the 5th thing, is our gymnastics work. So pulling on the bar, handstand push-ups, and toes to bar. So those things will always be part of the strength, and they will run for 5 days. It's not that if we squat on a Monday, we will squat on the same Monday for every single Monday. We try to move it around. The idea, the matrix that I built a long time ago that I still use now, is that it slides day by day, but in reality, it doesn't always work like that. So within the week, you'll see those 5 elements come through, and within a 5-week block, they will sometimes repeat themselves on one day, but they should move around the days. This is mainly for the fact that we understand people come on different days. You might just come to the gym on a Tuesday and a Thursday. You might come Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And if I program the same thing on the same day every week, then the program would not really have much variety, and therefore it would not tick our box of being fun and fulfilling you. So we move that around. That might take up to about 20 minutes, the strength block. We'll try and program a strength block pretty much every day, with the exception of when Strongman comes around, which is once every 3 to 5 weeks, or if we find a nice long Friday therapy workout. It has always been my take, and this is something a little bit personal, that the start of the week, so now Monday, and the last day of the week, Friday, should be incredibly hard workouts. They should take a lot of energy. There's 2 reasons for this. One is that I think that sets you up really nice for the week. Secondly, it's when I started training a big bunch of people in 2004, 2005, we used to do a workout called Circuit of Death every Monday morning. It was Sunday then, but the first day of the week. And it was a leveler. If you had eaten or you'd been at brunch on the weekend, you knew that Monday morning, Sunday morning then was going to be super hard. So maybe it would hold you back. There's a number of different psychological reasons in it. And the same sort of thing on Friday. I want people to leave the gym, the last workout of the week, closing out the week, feeling like they've done something both physically and mentally challenging. So Monday and Friday, if you don't like hard workouts, this probably isn't the place for you, but if you don't like hard workouts, then those days will be pretty challenging for you. They're not supposed to be incompletable until we put a workout in that we know that the time cap is too aggressive, which we do that sometimes. This show could go on for hours, by the way. However, they are hard workouts. We've done the warm-up. We've done the strength piece. Strength piece could have different components to it. One of the biggest parts of strength is the way we continue to play with time frames. And this is something that's quite interesting. Sometimes if we put 2.5 minutes to do, for example, 5 back squats, you should need that. Those 5 back squats will take about 30 seconds to do. The weight should be such, it's a giveaway really. If you've got a lot of time, then the weight should be quite heavy. This is about progression as well, and I'll talk about strength blocks in a second. However, the weight should be such that you should need those 2 minutes to continue to recover. So it's not that it's an easy workout because it's on a 2.5 minute clock. It's actually that it's a super heavy workout. If you're unable to get that stimulus because you're unable to load the movement that's prescribed that day in a safe way, then the coach should and will, if asked, but they can only change stuff if you tell them that you're struggling. We need feedback. It comes both ways. Then they will change it so that you get perhaps a different stimulus. So sometimes we will program what we'd call supersets. So one exercise with another exercise. Sometimes we'll program part A of the strength and then into part B and then into part C based on what goes well together. I won't get too anal about that. When it comes to strength, most of the time, as we spoke about in the podcast a few weeks, there's a lot of strength protocols that you could follow over a period of time, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, some of them 16 weeks. We have played around with a number of different strength protocols, rep protocols within our class program and seen very poor results. This is mainly due to consistency of people outside of their control. What I mean by that is that a lot of people do not come 5 days a week for 12 weeks straight for a number of different reasons. So it's very hard to follow a program that's based on 5 days of strength for 12 weeks that is progressive, that's based on an initial testing, that's based on percentages, that's based on rep increases, and a lot of different theory that we spoke about in the strength podcast. It's very difficult to implement that into a class program that's for a broader audience who travels a lot, or who isn't here over those 12 weeks. So what we will do though, is we will be quite specific about things like I was saying there. If it's 5 reps and it's a 2 minute 30, then that's a heavy leg day. Then if we have a heavy leg day on a Sunday, then later in the week or when there's a leg movement that comes around, it won't also be super heavy, it might be programmed in a lighter way. So there's a little bit of consideration for that. So we don't use what a lot of programs use, which is a strength matrix that rolls throughout. We actually don't really use that because of the audience that we have at the moment. We have used it in times gone by, but it doesn't fit in with the people that we see coming through the door at the moment. And that doesn't mean that those people will not get stronger. They will, and we're seeing them getting stronger because we also do certain tests, and the tests are not always placed within testing week, although we do have a testing week coming up soon. Beware for that, or be ready for that, which is quite good. But we're able to see certain tests within the class program as it's written. We're able to see if people are progressing through awareness around actually what people are lifting, because we're using a similar rep scheme throughout, and we know when we want to, let's call it, push the clients to go a little bit heavier, and we know what results they are getting. Once we finish the warm-up and the strength, we then go into what's known as metabolic conditioning. We're conditioning the metabolic pathway, the metabolic system. We're essentially raising your heart rate. We're making you tired in a number of different ways. We keep this quite varied, and we like the variance here. So why? Because we stimulate kind of a different energy system each day. We also mentally break things up. So there's different formats of workouts, and those that have come, or those of you that attend a CrossFit gym, would know this as well. We might see some intervals where it could be 1 minute on, 1 minute off, could be 3 minutes on, 2 minutes off. We'll use various different intervals. We could use rounds for time. We could use an AMRAP, so as many rounds and reps as possible within a certain time period. And we will, again, cycle these through the week. So we would never see in 1 week 3 10-minute AMRAPs. We would never see day after day, 1 minute on, 1 minute off. So we try and keep that type of condition, or the conditioning side of the workouts, quite varied as well. This keeps things fun, and it trains us in a different way. We still set out to achieve certain things and hit certain body parts using certain movements, and continue to progress certain movements and overload and not overload other movements as well within the conditioning piece. But we're trying not to see the same style of workout and also the same time domain every day. This is why some days the conditioning piece could take 20 minutes and there may not be a finisher that day, and some days there may be a finisher. We're trying within the finisher to attack various body parts almost as accessory work when a finisher comes around, which, again, those of you that are in our class program would experience a finisher probably 3 days out of 5. 1 to 2 of them will be core, 1 to 2 of them would be upper accessory, and 1 to 2 would be lower accessory. It could just be 1 core, 1 lower accessory, 1 upper accessory. However, if we've got time, or we feel the need, if we're in a focal stage on a certain movement or a certain skill, then we could use the finisher as well. All of our classes are actually programmed to finish 3 to 4 minutes before the end. And that is purposely done so that we can tick the other box that we have. Yes, we want to make people stronger. Yes, we want workouts to be specific. We want progression. We want overload. But we also want community. We want people to be able to meet each other, to be able to have conversations. And if we're starting bang on, which we always start on time, I think it is super, super important that all classes start on time, and they always do. And we're finishing bang on, then there's no time for friendships and for community. I think I've covered everything that I said I was going to cover. One of the most important thing as a gym goer is that you ask questions, you challenge the coaching staff, challenge myself, challenge our coaches that deliver the program. We would love you to understand a little bit more about why we're doing what we're doing. We would love to explain to you how it fits into a bigger picture. And we would love to help you also perhaps create training goals within your training cycle. So if you are in Dubai for 6 weeks before your next trip, or before a specific date that you want to prepare for, then we would love to have a conversation around how that might look. And we might mix in some of our mainline classes with perhaps some of our specialty classes, which I'm not really going to go into too much detail within the show. We do have, and to be honest, those classes do exactly what they said. Gymnastics spends more time focusing on the techniques of the gymnastics movements. We build volume within the mainline class, but we focus on techniques in the gymnastics class. Same application for our lifting class. And then pure strength is exactly what it says on the tin. So depending on your goal, which if you communicate to us, we can definitely help you to achieve it, hopefully, or guide you closer to be able to achieve it and advise you on what actually is the right solution. And that of mainline classes versus specialty classes versus maybe even going to Track Tuesday. It's quite funny at the moment. Everyone's asking me, do you not have a High Rocks class? And I'm like, well, let's look at the components of High Rocks. And it's like, we've been tailoring towards High Rocks for a long time. And that's why Jess came third in the Pro Women, because she's training in a way, she's running, she runs with us at track. She's doing all the things that are kind of part of our ethos and our program. And that's why she's so good at High Rocks. So you don't really need a specific High Rocks class. You just need to follow a varied program that ticks off those things. But as a gym goer, no matter, as I said, if you come to our gym or you go to another gym, I think really to understand the direction of your program is something that is, you deserve to know. You deserve to know where it's going, and it will help 100% to increase your interest and motivation. Another thing that's super important is how you measure progress, which for everyone is going to be super different. And this is why a lot of the time when we see programs asking people to talk about 80% or 70% of their 1 rep max, a lot of people are not that bothered about a 1 rep max because they feel pain in the movement of getting to a 1 rep max. And that's absolutely fine as well. It's not for everyone. So we should figure out exactly what the goals are. Again, our coaches here at InnerFight can help you to do that. And then we can figure out what parts of the program and what days of the week, because we actually program our blocks. The skeleton of our blocks is done anywhere between 6 to 12 weeks in advance. The second part, so the strength part of our workout, is also done, it's kind of like 80%, 6 to 12 weeks in advance, because we know where we're going. And then based on the results that we are seeing and the feedback that we're getting, that's why we're always asking people, how are you feeling? How was the workout? How's your legs? How's your recovery? We care about you, but we care that we're giving you the right program. So that's why we're asking those questions quite a lot. But we can help guide you whether you should be coming on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, taking Thursday off, or which days you should be coming. Hopefully with the workout the workouts for the whole week now being posted on the InnerFight Way, you're able to maybe plan your weeks a lot better and target things. But they're conversations that we can have with coaches. Coaches can sit down with you. There's absolutely no charge to it. They would love to sit down and discuss kind of maybe how you can get the best out of your program. And no matter if you're here with us at InnerFight or whatever gym you're at around the world, I really believe that that's something that the coaches should be doing for you.